Around 2003, I lost my rights to vote in this country, well, in the state of Louisiana. It was a really chaotic and shadowy time for me. I had fear of being exposed to the virus, which I was. I've been living with it for 21 years. 21 years in October. Um, I was using strong drugs. I was engaging in survival sex work because I came up in a family that just wasn't equipped to deal with me being a trans person. So, yeah, I was on my own from 16. It was just a lot. And so anyway, I was making a lot of crazy decisions, wild decisions, which we tend to do before we get our critical thinking matter, especially when we don't have the guidance of our elders and our loved ones for whatever reason. I was out on my own, taking care of myself, and um, like I said, at 23, I lost my right to vote. For a long time, I felt diminished. I felt belittled when people would talk about how important voting was, and they tell you your ancestors died for the right to vote, and for a long time that was a silencer for me. Like when they would say that, I would be immediately humbled, and I would feel like they're right. And then as I got older, I began to play the whole tape. I'm very thankful that I came up in the 80s and the 90s where we had the little the tape cassettes where you had to flip them over on both sides if you wanted to hear all of the music, basically get all the information on both sides. You had to play both sides from beginning to end. Amen, a woman. So I stick to that logic now because I know that we live in a one-dimensional reality that often wants you to just listen to one side and just silence the other side and consider that side to be wrong. One side is right and one side is wrong. But you still have to be able to hear both sides. When you go into a courthouse, you have to hear from the defendant as well as the plaintiff in order to come to a conclusion or come to a decision. You have to still hear both sides. And now I'm in this place of understanding that, yes, there were ancestors who died for our right to vote, but there were also ancestors who were erased from his story. His story. Come on now. Because they did not want to participate in this. They did not want the Constitution. They did not want the White House. They did not want to live in a country where only one president was remotely close to being black and their descendants was from Kenya and the other side of their family was Caucasian, and there never been a female in power. There never been a cis woman or whatever title you want to give um the woman. There had never been that. They didn't want to be a part of that. They didn't want to participate in that. And so they put their bodies on the line to fight for the freedom and the liberation of their ancestors and for their indigenous ancestors to continue to navigate the world the way that they had been navigating the world before the colonizers came, before the oppressors came. Okay? So I think it's important to know that. It's important to know that you can still advocate. You can still show up. Your voice still matters. Now, I stand in solidarity with my ancestors who choose to vote because it takes all kinds to make the world go around. It takes all kinds. So I am not saying don't vote. I am not saying I'm against voting. But what I am saying is I have respect for people who choose not to vote for people that they don't see themselves in or feel no connection to or don't feel like they have their vested interest. When my problem and my issue comes up with people who choose not to vote is when you feel like because you're not voting, you just don't have anything to contribute and you just have to be silent and you don't have to say nothing. Don't let people who vote intimidate you into thinking that your voice doesn't matter, that your voice doesn't count. Show up, advocate, stand up for community, put yourself out there, be, organize, be committed to organizing, be committed to having your voice heard. Don't allow yourself and your beliefs to be silenced. If you are really truly invested in the forward movement and the progression of your community, your society, your tribe, and your people, continue to rally together and have your voice heard, because you participate in paying taxes and you obey these laws that the government has set before us. In other words, you rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. So your voice should not be silenced, and you should not feel like your voice doesn't matter simply because you're not participating in a process where they pick for you who reflects you and benefits you. If they don't benefit you and they don't reflect you, then you have the right to withhold your vote, but don't withhold your voice. Don't withhold your voice. I love y'all. That's all I got for my rising rant. Y'all have a beautiful day. Be well. Love you. Lelem lela.